The tension has been building to a boiling point, and it seems like we are finally heading toward the ultimate, fatal confrontation between these two fierce adversaries. According to the whispers, Josslyn is going to succeed in doing the impossible. She is going to defeat Ross in a final, heart-stopping standoff. Um, the word on the street is that this battle will not just end in an arrest or a narrow escape. High chances are that Ross might actually lose his life in the aftermath of their explosive encounter. Josslyn will stand victorious over the man who has terrorized her loved ones, breathing a sigh of relief as she believes she has single-handedly eliminated one of the most dangerous threats the agency has ever produced. She will think she has saved everyone, stepping up as the ultimate protector. In the immediate aftermath of this monumental victory, it seems like Josslyn will be hailed as an absolute hero. Imagine the pride swelling in her chest as she receives praise for taking down such a formidable, untouchable opponent. She will likely feel invincible, ready to ascend to a much higher, more powerful position within the covert organization, or at least secure her family's absolute safety once and for all. For a brief, fleeting moment, Josslyn will believe that all her risky choices, all her defiance, and all the danger she put herself through were completely justified. She will look at the wreckage of Ross's reign and feel nothing but triumph, convinced that she has done the world a massive favor by ridding it of a ruthless monster. But ladies, we know how the show works. A victory that comes this easily and feels this clean is never the end of the story. It is merely the calm before a catastrophic emotional storm. The real nightmare begins when the adrenaline fades and the investigation into the deceased agent's life begins. As the unconfirmed leak suggests, Josslyn will take it upon herself to dig through the highly classified, deeply personal files that Ross left behind. She will likely be looking for more evidence of his corruption, hoping to find the final puzzle pieces that justify her lethal actions. Instead, what she finds hidden in those dusty, heavily redacted folders will freeze the blood in her veins. We are hearing that she will stumble upon a shocking, earth-shattering secret regarding Ross's true identity and his hidden lineage. The documents will not point to a legacy of pure villainy, but rather to a tragic, long-lost family connection that ties directly to Josslyn's own bloodline. The truth hidden in those files will reveal that the man she just destroyed was not just a random operative with a vendetta. Hold on to your seats, guys, because the hush-hush rumor is that Ross is actually the long-lost brother of Jax. Yes, you heard that right. The man Josslyn has been hunting, the man she just defeated and potentially sent to his grave, is her own biological uncle. This drastic storyline shift is so profound that it completely changes the fabric of the entire narrative. Suddenly, Ross is no longer just a faceless antagonist. He is a member of her family, a piece of her father's history that was buried and forgotten by time. When Josslyn connects the dots, the realization will hit her like a freight train. She has just taken down her own flesh and blood. The man who shared her father's DNA, the man who might have held the key to unlocking decades of family mysteries, was extinguished by her own hands. The sheer horror of this revelation is enough to break even the strongest of characters, and Josslyn will not be immune to the devastation. As the devastating reality sets in, Josslyn's mind will inevitably race backward, replaying every single interaction, every threat, and every close call she ever had with Ross. Suddenly, all those moments that seemed like lucky escapes or inexplicable strokes of fortune will take on a chilling new meaning. It seems like the truth might be way more complicated than Ross simply being incompetent or arrogant. Why did a highly trained, lethal agent repeatedly fail to eliminate a young woman when he had her dead to rights? The puzzle pieces will start snapping together with horrifying clarity. Josslyn will realize that throughout this entire ordeal, despite his dangerous reputation and his willingness to go to war, Ross never actually made a direct, lethal move against her. He had countless opportunities to strike, to end her life, or to make her disappear permanently. Yet, he always chose to walk away or let her slip through his fingers. What if Ross knew the truth the entire time? High chances are that he was fully aware of his connection to Jax and knew exactly who Josslyn was from the very beginning. He kept this monumental secret buried deep within himself, refusing to share it with anyone, perhaps to protect her from the dangerous world he inhabited. Despite playing the role of the ruthless villain, Ross might have harbored a deep, unspoken sense of family loyalty. He could not bring himself to harm the only piece of family he had left in the world. He played the monster for the agency, he played the antagonist for Carly and the others, but when it came to his niece, he held back. He actively chose to spare her life, absorbing her hatred and her attacks without ever revealing the protective shield he was secretly holding over her. He let her view him as the ultimate enemy because it was safer for her to hate him than to love him. When this profound realization washes over Josslyn, her entire world will completely collapse. The unconfirmed leak paints a picture of a total psychological breakdown. Josslyn will no longer be able to look in the mirror and see the brave, righteous hero she thought she was just hours prior. Instead, she will see a girl who acted on blind prejudice and agency propaganda, a girl who destroyed her own uncle without ever bothering to understand his side of the story. She will agonize over the fact that she was never fair to him. The agency labeled him a threat, and she eagerly bought into that narrative, treating him as the embodiment of pure evil. But now, forced to confront the possibility that she pushed him into that monstrous role, her guilt will be suffocating. She will realize that she punished a man who was silently sacrificing his own reputation and ultimately his life, just to keep her safe from the shadows. This psychological torment will force Josslyn to question everything she has ever been taught about right and wrong. We all know how quick she has been to judge others for their violent choices, but what if she is no better? The behind-the-scenes whisper suggests that Josslyn will be haunted by the thought that she is the real monster in this scenario. Ross accepted the hatred of the world, but Josslyn dealt the final, fatal blow with a heart full of self-righteousness. She will be tormented by the memories of his final moments, wondering if there was a flicker of familial recognition in his eyes right before the end. Did he forgive her in his last breath? Did he die knowing that his secret was safe, or did he die heartbroken that his own niece was the one to pull the metaphorical trigger? These unanswerable questions will eat away at her soul, stripping away every ounce of the confidence and bravado she has built up over the years. But ladies, the tragedy does not end with Josslyn's internal suffering. This drastic storyline shift is heavily rumored to be the ultimate catalyst for the grand return of Jax. We have been waiting for her father to make his way back to town, and it seems like this horrific family tragedy is exactly what will bring him rushing back. However, this will not be a joyous, heartwarming family reunion. When Jax receives the news that his long-lost brother has finally been found, only to learn in the exact same breath that he is already dead, his grief will be unimaginable. And when he discovers that his own daughter was the one responsible for his brother's demise, the fallout will be absolutely apocalyptic. Jax is a man who values family above all else, and knowing that he was robbed of the chance to reunite with his brother will shatter his heart into a million irreparable pieces. High chances are that Jax will be consumed by a rage we have never seen from him before. For him, the debate over whether Ross was a good man or a bad man will be completely irrelevant. The agonizing truth is that Josslyn took a life without knowing the full story, acting as judge, jury, and executioner. Jax will look at his daughter, not with the usual unconditional love and pride, but with profound disappointment, devastating anger. He will question how she could become so hardened, so deeply entrenched in this violent lifestyle that she would eliminate an enemy without a second thought. The hush-hush rumor indicates that for the very first time in her entire life, Jax will refuse to stand by her side. He will not defend her actions, he will not comfort her tears, and he will not offer her the absolution she so desperately craves. He will turn his back on her, unable to look past the blood on her hands. This rejection will be the absolute final nail in the coffin for Josslyn's spirit. Losing her father's support will create a deep, seemingly unbridgeable rift within their family. We are talking about a fracture so severe that it might take years of storyline to even begin repairing. Josslyn has always relied on Jax as her moral compass, her safe harbor when the world gets too dark. To have that harbor violently shut its doors to her will leave her completely adrift. She will be forced to live every single day with the agonizing weight of her actions, knowing that the man she destroyed was not just an agency target, but a blood relative who silently watched over her. She will have to carry the burden of knowing that her desperate need to be the hero is exactly what tore her family apart and cost her the one parent who always believed in her inherent goodness. Think about how this massive revelation will ripple through the rest of the town. How will Carly react when she learns that her daughter took down Jax's brother? Will she fiercely defend Josslyn, further alienating Jax and igniting a massive war between the parents? It seems like this single tragedy is going to cause a domino effect, touching every major player. The agency will likely try to cover up the familial connection to protect their reputation, leaving Josslyn to fight a lonely battle for the truth. What if the agency actually knew about Ross's true identity all along and deliberately manipulated Josslyn into taking him out? If that behind-the-scenes whisper holds any truth, Josslyn is not just a tragic figure, she is a pawn in a much larger, infinitely more sinister game. As we prepare for this emotional roller coaster, we have to wonder what Ross's ultimate legacy will be. Will he be remembered as the rogue agent who terrorized the town, or will the truth of his silent sacrifice eventually come to light? Josslyn might make it her life's mission to clear her uncle's name, proving to her father that Ross was more than just a weapon. But clearing his name means exposing her own fatal mistake, forcing her to publicly confess that she destroyed the man who was trying to protect her. The complexity of this narrative forces us to re examine everything we thought we knew about good and evil. Ross lived in the shadows, painted as a monster, but in his final moments, he proved that the ties of family were stronger than any survival instinct. This drastic storyline shift promises to deliver some of the most compelling, heartbreaking television we have seen in years. Josslyn will be stripped of her innocence, forced to navigate a world where her actions have permanent, devastating consequences. The journey from a self proclaimed hero to a guilt ridden daughter will be agonizing to watch. Will she ever be able to earn her father's forgiveness? Will she ever be able to forgive herself? What if there are more secrets hidden in those files, more family members lurking in the shadows, waiting to seek revenge? The truth might be way more complicated than we can even begin to imagine. As the dust settles on this fatal confrontation, one thing is absolutely certain: Josslyn's life will never be the same again. So, my dear friends, brace yourselves for the storm that is brewing on the horizon. Keep your eyes glued to the screen, because the moment Josslyn opens that classified folder, the entire landscape of our beloved show will shatter into a million irreparable pieces. What if the real villain has not even revealed themselves yet, and Ross was the only one standing in their way? Only time will tell, but I suggest you keep your tissues close and your expectations completely upended.